Guys, I am so glad I decided to re-review the DC movies because I did not nearly say enough about Batman v Superman as I wanted to. So let's get into it. So Batman v Superman tells the story of Batman v Superman. Basically, the movie takes place a couple years after Man of Steel, and what happens is Bruce Wayne was there during the ending of Man of Steel, and now he kind of hates Superman and wants him dead. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor wants the same thing. And Superman is dealing with the fact that he's being blamed for this situation that happened near the beginning of the movie. And that's basically it. Let's talk about the cast first. Ben Affleck plays Bruce Wayne and Batman, and he nailed it. I myself was not at all that nervous when he was cast. Like, I had some reservations because of Daredevil. Yeah, I had some reservations, but everything I had seen of him looked promising, so I wasn't like hugely on the Ben Affleck hate train. I just wasn't on the whole like, oh, he's gonna be amazing as Batman train. I was like, you know what, he'll probably do at least a Michael Keaton level, but Bale will still probably be better. And I gotta say, Ben Affleck is the greatest live action Batman of all time. Every single thing with him in this movie is handled incredibly. The nightmare scene, the warehouse sequence, those are some of the most memorable Batman fight scenes and scenes in general ever. Like, those are the two things I think of most, like, when I first think of this movie. When Batman v Superman pops into my head, first thing I think of is the nightmare scene, then the warehouse scene, and then everything else kind of sequentially. Then you have Henry Cavill, who reprises his role as Superman, and he continues to shine in this movie as Clark Kent. Now I'm gonna talk about the theatrical cut from here on out for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna move on to the ultimate cut. So starting with the theatrical cut, Amy Adams as Lois Lane gives a good performance. She just doesn't really have anything important to do, and part of that has to do with the fact that her whole subplot that she has involves a like 15-second clip that was cut out of the movie that kind of is important. And it makes this whole subplot basically fall apart with this cutout. The supporting cast still does a great job. I personally liked Lex Luthor. I'll get into it more later, but I liked Lex Luthor with Jesse Eisenberg. I thought he did a good job. I think the opening sequence set during the ending of Man of Steel with Ben Affleck, I think that's incredible, and I think it's another one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. I just think this version is a jumbled mess. There are beautiful shots in this movie, great performances, great action set pieces, really good visual effects. The main problem is that there is a half hour of the movie that was cut out, probably a little bit more too. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some scenes that were put back into the ultimate cut or there are some scenes that still end up getting cut from the ultimate cut. I wouldn't be surprised. But this movie is cut down a half an hour, and they decided to cut a lot of necessary scenes, and certain scenes got cut that made the movie, in certain points, make no sense. And there are also certain scenes that are just kind of jumbled around and placed in weird places in the movie, and it makes the movie feel like a jumbled mess. Kind of similar to my opinion on Suicide Squad, where I think even the extended cut of the movie is still a bit of a jumbled mess. and it's clear that there was a lot that was cut out of the movie and that it was not written very well. This one seems like it was written very well, and it seems like, and of course the extended cut is a whole lot better and it isn't jumbled, but this version is just so horribly put together, and it feels like it's really obvious that they cut it down so that they could make more time to have more screenings to make more money, which does the movie a disservice, because now you have this theatrical version, and the theatrical version is 2.5 hours long, and it means you can fit like a couple more screenings in, but no one's gonna go see it when this mediocre version of the movie is not getting great reviews. No one's gonna go see those extra couple of screenings. This movie, that did the movie a disservice, because the movie could have made a lot of money even with having fewer show times, because you have the version that we were supposed to get, that we get on the Blu-ray, and I think they did re-release it into theaters, very limited though. But so what you have here is you have a great movie getting great reviews. People are gonna rush out to go see that, even if there are a couple less show times. People, if they want to see it, they will go out of their way to find a way to see it, whether they go another day or go to a different theater or something. Just, yeah. I honestly think, though, that cutting the movie down did the movie a huge disservice. But let's get on to the ultimate cut now, which is what I really wanted to talk about. So firstly, I want to start off by talking about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I think he steals the show. As much as Ben Affleck is amazing as Batman, and Henry Cavill continues to shine as Superman, and the rest of the supporting cast does a pretty great job. Lawrence Fishburne, Diane Lane, I think is the act. Wait, hang on, because I feel like I'm getting no, I was right. Diane Lane. As much as the rest of the supporting cast do a great job, Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, just sticks out to me so much as just a striking performance, because obviously people make jokes, people didn't like him, and you can see, like, the way he acts is very Zuckerberg-ish, kind of similar to Jesse, just the awkward weirdo that Jesse Eisenberg always plays. But if you're really paying attention to his performance, you can see that he's putting up this front, this facade, to make people think that that's what he is. He's just the awkward weirdo. He's a bit of an eccentric. He's just a rich dude. But then there are a couple of amazing scenes in this movie. One involving Holly Hunter in Lex Luthor's home, in Lex Luthor Sr.'s study, where you can see the facade begin to crack and his psyche, just his true nature starting to slip through. And it adds so much to the character than if he was just the weird, quirky guy. Because if it was that, then yeah, I would understand why people wouldn't like it, because that is not really what Lex Luthor is. And yeah, you can argue that same point for the movie the way it is, but there's a reason for it. He is just he's trying to throw people off the scent so that every illegal thing that he does, it just doesn't seem like he would be that kind of guy. He's doing basically a performance like Ben Affleck, or not Ben Affleck, but Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor are very similar in the fact that when they're out of the public image, they are these very dark, messed up people, but then when they're in public, they're playing up this whole image of being the billionaire playboy people, only Lex is a little more quirky with his attitude, and Bruce is not as quirky, I guess. But yeah, I thought Lex Luthor was amazing in this movie though, and he just stole the show for me. I could probably go on, and I would love to eventually be able to do, I don't know, something analyzing the performance. I probably wouldn't get to it just because I'm already working on so many video ideas and stuff. Um, I'm not really too interested in taking on another one at the moment. But maybe a couple years from now, I could look back into this idea of just doing a full analysis of Jesse Eisenberg's performance in this movie. But let's get on to the rest of the stuff. Amy Adams is given a lot more to do in this movie, and there are a couple more scenes added in that make her whole subplot make a lot more sense. And I'm very thankful for that because it is a little confusing in the theatrical version because they cut out this bit where you see the KG Beast burning these dead bodies, supposed to make it look like they were killed by Superman's laser vision. But all you see in the theatrical version is them getting shot and then the guys driving away. And so it makes no sense because everyone's blaming Superman for it, but Superman doesn't use guns. And Lois is trying to figure out this thing with this bullet that she recovered from the desert. But who cares? Because we saw the people getting shot and we didn't see anything else that would make anyone else in the world think that they weren't shot. So it's pointless. But then they added in the 15-second shot of the dude burning the bodies. And it made the whole subplot make sense. And yeah. Henry Cavill gets a lot more to do as Clark Kent in this version of the movie, and they give him a much clearer motivation because obviously his motivation is still there in the theatrical version. It's not as clear. I mean, it's definitely pretty weak in the theatrical version. Like, you get that he doesn't like Batman, but you don't really see too much of why. In this version, they show a little bit more. He actually goes to Gotham. He talks to people, Gotham citizens, about Batman. And you start to really understand why he doesn't want Batman around anymore. And you don't really get that in the theatrical version. And then, again, the action is amazing. There are very beautiful shots in this movie. I personally think that this is Zack Snyder's masterpiece. I also think it's a masterpiece in general. And it's probably my favorite DC movie of all time, honestly. I don't know, it's been a while since I've rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy. But as it stands at this point, I would probably rank this above even The Dark Knight. I think this movie is amazing. I think the studio did the movie a huge disservice with the theatrical cut. It really kind of ruined the vision for the movie and took out a lot of stuff that made the plot points make sense. And took out a lot of stuff that fleshed out certain characters. And that sucks because it turned a lot of people away from the DCEU, including a couple of people I know. There are a couple of people I know who didn't want to see Wonder Woman, don't want to see Justice League, aren't interested in seeing any of the other new DC movies because the theatrical version of Batman v Superman that they watched just really turned them off of the DCEU. And I've tried to recommend the Ultimate Cut. Obviously, I'm not going to try and force it on anyone. I'm just gonna say, if you're watching this, if you did not like the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman and you haven't taken the time to check out the Ultimate Cut, I would recommend checking it out. It's not a perfect movie. There are still little tiny things about the movie that, yeah, there you can still make some complaints about. I still think the movie as a whole, the ultimate cut, which I would just like to refer to as Batman v Superman. So from now on, whenever I mention Batman v Superman, if I don't expressly say the theatrical cut, just assume I'm talking about the ultimate cut, which in my opinion, is the only version of Batman v Superman. But yeah, I still think it's an amazing movie with minimal issues here and there. So now I'm gonna grade the theatrical cut first. I'm gonna give the theatrical cut a D. I really think that even though the movie is alright, there is so much in there that is just jumbled and scrambled and cut out, and it's so clear that there was a lot that was cut out, and it's not that great. It's not even that good. It's alright at best, but personally, comparing it to the ultimate cut, I would give it a D. And then I'm going to give the ultimate cut an A+. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Batman v Superman, the theatrical cut and the ultimate cut, if you've seen it. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.